We're going to talk about the most important tip for someone who's new to shooting with a red dot on their defensive pistol. Number one complaint we hear on the range is, I can't find the dot. We see people bring the gun out, put it out in front of their head, and they start moving the gun and moving their head, and they can't find the dot. Here's the secret to finding the dot. You need to make sure that when the firearm starts to get extended out towards the target, that the gun gets into your line of sight early. Now, you don't want to bring it straight up, obviously, next to your face, but rather than bring the gun out and then up, which we see a lot of people do and sort of get away with iron sights, we want to bring the gun up and then finish out. Now, that's a really good idea anyway, because it helps you set your shoulder, helps you get set into a good position for kinesthetic alignment, which is going to put your sights or your dot right in front of you anyway. But what happens with the reticle is that you need to be able to look in a plane that puts you not only into this window, so in other words, I can be here and I can look down into the window, but also perpendicular to your gun. So if the gun is here, if you've got your window here, you need to be looking perpendicular and through the window to be able to see that light reflected back at you, the dot or the circle dot, the crosshair, the chevron, whatever it is that you got. If I'm here, I can't see that. Now, why isn't it something that we have to worry about with normal sights, iron sights, traditional sights, whatever you want to refer to them as? Well, my eye, especially in training environment, right? We remember we're not really getting the tunnel vision and all that when we're training and practicing. I can already pick up where this big bright square is. So when the gun starts coming out, whether it's coming out from appendix or it's coming out from my side, coming out from behind, wherever it's coming from the ready position, my eye can already, if I'm using a good bright front sight like we should for a defensive shooting gun, when I drive out, my eye is already picking that up. So if I'm going to use my sights, I can already start to focus on that front sight as I get to extension, and then, even very late in the presentation, flatten the gun out to get proper alignment between the front and rear sight and then my sight picture. Well, I can't do that with a red dot. If I bring the red dot out along that same path, well, now I'm seeing that big square here on this gun, but I'm not seeing the dot. And now what happens? I get out here, just there I can see the dot. Well, that's really late in presentation. So the number one tip for new shooters using red dots, get that gun up to your line of sight and parallel with your line of sight early so you can pick up the dot, focus on it, finish your extension, and get the hit that you need to get. Learning to use a red dot doesn't need to be something that's incredibly challenging, but you need to take the right steps. And the first step is getting the gun into your line of sight before you finish your extension.